Hey guys, Mandus Buckley here from Midwest Muscle Report. We're back for the second part. We're talking to Vickie and Tatiana about transitioning divisions, and both of them made the switch from figure to bikini, and both of them had now qualified for their first Olympia. So Tatiana, let's start with you. What was that transition like, and how long did it take you to really start feeling comfortable in your new division?
I started thinking about transitioning at the end of 2013, where I already was a pro for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me about 6 months to actually, I was thinking about it. And looking at the bikini girls, and I love everything about the body, about the look, about the presentation. And each time I'm like, oh, I want to do it. I just feel like I need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, I asked my husband, I said, hey babe, do you think I can, he was my boyfriend then. I said, do you think I can do this? He goes, you can do anything you want.
Mm-hmm. Smart man.
and I said, it's gonna be hard, I'm gonna doubt myself. And he's like, I'm here for you. And from then, I decided, that's it, I'm switching to bikini.
Okay.
And a lot of people ask me, so what's your next show, and what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm switching to bikini. And people look at me like, what? But you're so muscular, how can you do bikini? And I know I had a lot of people who didn't think I could do it, but I said, I got a plan. So my training changed, my diet changed, everything changed, and my mental game changed as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, Vickie, when you made the transition, how did things go for you in the beginning?
In the beginning, surprisingly, my first show as a bikini competitor, I actually placed 6th, which was a huge surprise to me. Being new to the sport, trying to learn and be comfortable in the posing. But again, my placing at that point was up and down, up and down. I had that high and then turned back around and had a super low where I didn't place, then turned back around and won a master's show. So I was kind of all over trying to find my place in this bikini division, knowing that I had some challenges bringing in a more muscular package.
Right.
So it was pretty challenging to try to even achieve a bikini look instead of looking like a figure girl who's doing bikini poses.
Right. But now you're sitting here in a seat where you qualified for the Olympia. How did that happen?
Not just qualified, she did Olympia.
Yeah, right, correct. Thank you for correcting me. You're here at the Olympia and looking absolutely amazing. So going from those struggles, how did it all of a sudden, what changed?
Because I hired an awesome coach named Mandus. Actually, I contacted you. I felt like I need another perspective. And after talking to you, our first phone conversation, I was sold, because the key thing that stood out was you told me I cannot train like a bikini girl.
Right.
I cannot train like a typical bikini girl. I am a figure girl going to bikini. My training needs to be different. That right there was a hook, line, and sinker for me, because I already knew that you were already thinking of a game plan in order to bring me more like a bikini competitor.
Right.
And that was just the phone conversation. And then once we got together with our first face-to-face consultation, at that point, I'm like, oh, this dude has a plan. He's broken down my physique, totally broke me down of what we needed to do. And, at that point, we didn't have a time frame of when things were going to happen.
Right.
You just laid the foundation of this is what's going to go and this is our goal, and went for it.
Tatiana, was it similar for you? Because coming from figure, changing any divisions, but coming from figure and having to move down and essentially try and burn off as much muscle as you possibly can, was it similar to where you all of a sudden knew all of your training had to change?
Yes. I just like she said, I know that you can't, because we're coming from figure, you can't train like a bikini girl who is usually trying to put muscles on. And because of our background, I'd say I had to put some muscle to rest.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And some days I would go to the gym and I knew I couldn't do upper body because of I had to rest that, and I'm just like, man, am I supposed to feel like a slacker here? You know, what do I do?
Okay.
So yeah.
And what was the process, and how many shows did it take then this year to all of a sudden be able to be sitting in this seat and be able to compete at your first ever Olympia?
Well, I did very well in 2014 when I first switched to bikini. I placed in my first 3 shows, I placed 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And then this year I got invited for the Arnold Classic Australian.
Okay.
I did a show right before it in Orlando where I placed 3rd. I got 9th in Australian. And at this point, I felt like I belong on the O stage.
Okay.
I look at the pictures, I see the girls up there on the very top, and I believed that I could do it. And I won my show. A few weeks later, I won it at the Florida Grand Prix, and that's where I qualified.
And that's how you're sitting here today. Vickie, how did things happen for you then the rest of this year? You said you put together a game plan and you really had no time frame. So then what was that time frame to where you started doing well and then eventually qualified for the Olympia and then sitting here?
When we decided to do our first bikini show together, we knew the primary goal at that time was to bring my quads down. We knew what we were going to try to do. We weren't quite sure if we were going to achieve it in the time frame for my show, which was going to be the Greater Gulf. But as we started getting ready for the show and my body started to respond, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. This is looking different. We're kind of catching up to what we perceived as the goal. Greater Gulf, again, was more of a test show to put the physique out there to see how it would go. Right. I didn't place, however, I looked at those pictures and was like, I was the bomb. Yeah. I was quite happy with that.
I have to make a little comment about legs. I love my legs because they're getting smaller now. You know, it's such a big difference.
Absolutely.
From figure to bikini to where, like, I look at my legs and oh my God, my tiny legs. I love it.
It is so hard when you're changing a division. You're essentially doing the opposite of what we've ever been taught, and build more muscle, get leaner, get tighter, get harder, add here. You guys are doing the opposite. You're breaking it down while still trying to stay symmetrical, while then at that point adding in one area, one specific area, glutes.
Always.
But then not add more hamstrings, because as figure girls, you've got strong quads and hamstrings. Now, Vickie, when you're talking about that, the time frame actually was a lot faster than anticipated.
Very.
So Greater Gulf's, maybe the placing didn't work out, but you turned around and did another show.
Right. Turned around and did Chicago and placed 2nd there.
Wow.
And was like, ooh, okay, this is obtainable.
Yeah.
And that just set up a natural high and was like, okay, you know what? There's another show that's in my parents' hometown, Nashville, Tennessee.
There you go.
I have family there.
There you go.
They've never seen me on stage.
Wow.
Let's go there and see what happens.
And what happened, Vickie?
I won that show. I won that show. And lo and behold, sure enough, Tatiana texts me like, congratulations.
I told you, let's go to the
And we're going to the O together, you know. And like I said, watching her be so successful in transitioning from figure to bikini, and she actually definitely carried more muscle than I did on the figure stage, and to watch that she was able to transition, I also knew if I had the right person backing me, I can also do the same as far as transitioning and making that change, that it was definitely possible.
Okay. So guys and girls, everyone out there, as we touched on earlier, transitioning divisions is happening far more now than it ever has before. It is something that obviously can be done, and done at a high level, and you can be really successful at it. You're looking at a couple of women who not only made a transition but are now winning shows in their new division, qualifying for the Olympia, competing at the Olympia, and both looking fantastic at the Olympia. And I'm sure now the expectation is more success and being back at the Olympia and moving your placing up higher and higher and higher. So it is about finding someone who can help you with that transition. You know, if it's a coach who hasn't done that in the past, it may not be the perfect fit, but you have to find the right person who knows how to do that, because it's a completely different kind of training, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah. So guys, we're really glad we got to catch up with you. I think this is very interesting for a lot of people out there, because again, there's a lot of athletes that are changing divisions
Or thinking about changing divisions.
Right. And now you guys know that not only it can happen, but it can happen relatively quickly and at a high level of success. So
Believe in yourself.
yeah, there you go. So we're really glad we got to catch up with you guys. Congratulations on being here. Congratulations on both of you looking fantastic.
Thank you.
Tatiana, Vickie, we wish you guys nothing but the best of luck and future success.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
for Vickie Counts and Tatiana, this is Amanda's Buckle, Midwest Muscle Report. We're out.